Welcome to this video on the casts of the Sidereal Exalted from the tabletop role-playing game, Exalted. The Sidereal Exalted are the third type of Celestial Exalts, created by the Five Maidens, the goddesses given charge over the powerful loom of fate, which directs the destinies of nearly every creature born in creation. Though not as numerous or overtly powerful as the Solars and Lunars, the Sidereals could use their posts as officials in the Celestial Bureaucracy, their access to the loom of fate, and their mastery of the highest of all martial arts to aid their allies and destroy their enemies. It was these tools that the Sidereals used to bring down the Solar Deliberative and usher in the Second Age. Numbering 100 total, the Fivefold Fellowship, as the Sidereals call themselves, as a score of them each serve the Maidens, believe they alone have the perspective needed to guide creation, no matter who rules it in name, whether it is the Solar Exalted, the Terrestrial Exalted, or some other hegemon. But without further ado, the casts of the Sidereals. The Chosen of Journeys. Life is a journey. It begins when we are born and ends when we die. It is the thread between these 2 points that determines the path of the soul. Mercury, the Maiden of Journeys, was created to oversee the passage between birth and death, the journey called life. Some journeys are short, others are long and winding. But the chosen of the Maiden of Journeys, the messengers of heaven, attempt to steer creation towards a long and prosperous journey. The chosen of journeys of the First Age took a hand in the network of transportation and communications of the realm. As the Solars pacified creation, the Harbingers ensured that roads, sky barges, and essence broadcasting equipment functioned smoothly and unhindered through manipulations of the loom of fate. And when the Sidereals turned against the Solars, it was the chosen of journeys who turned the Solars' carefully planned escape routes into death traps, filled with dragon-blooded warriors. When the Great Contagion ravaged creation, the chosen of journeys tried to repair some of the damage, remapped creation, and rebuilt trade and communication through the temples of the Immaculate Order. Whether of the gold or bronze factions, the chosen of journeys are often engaged in a battle to both keep their own factions connected while attempting to disrupt the efforts of the other faction. The bronze faction has an easier time through the well-developed and well-spread Immaculate Order, but the gold faction's cult of the Illuminated is small, nimble, and boasts a growing number of formidable Solar Exalts. A few gold-aligned Harbingers have even cracked open the tombs of long-dead Solar Kings and Queens for artifacts to be used by their Solar Pawns, Overlords. All chosen of journeys have itching feet from birth. Some are born into traveling trades, caravans, circuses, or merchant sailing companies. A few Harbingers have grown up in gangs of highwaymen and nomad horsemen. But all have the same mark of Mercury's chosen upon their exaltation: yellow irises and black pupils flecked with gold. When a chosen of journeys uses the lesser sign of Mercury, they, and their companions, move at triple their normal movement speed, whether afoot or mounted. The Chosen of Serenity. Life is pleasure. Even the most miserable life has its moments of bliss. The joy of becoming a parent, the thrill of sex, and the triumph of slaying a hated enemy. Life is shaped by the pursuit of serenity. Every pleasure, every memory is a milestone of a life well lived. Venus, the Maiden of Serenity, was created to administer fate and dispense felicity as she saw fit. The joy-bringers of the First Age kept watch over the comfort and prosperity of creation's mortals and reported their findings to the Solar Deliberative. They ensured that there was a chicken in every pot, an airship in every garage, and that population numbers stayed up through fruitful couplings. When the time came to usurp the Solars, however, it was the chosen of Serenity who planned every detail of the grand banquet where creation's rulers would fall, with every meal, wine, and entertainment designed to keep the lawgivers off guard until their final moment. In the aftermath of the Great Contagion and the Balorian Crusade, the chosen of Serenity were at the forefront of attempting to restore some normalcy to creation. They facilitated the rebuilding of farms and towns, along with establishing a healthy trade in both drugs and slaves, to distract the people from the fact that they were nearly annihilated by the underworld and the wild. The Sidereals of the Bronze faction focused mainly on maintaining the prosperity of the realm, wielding the machinery of the Celestial Bureaucracy to ensure that harvests are plentiful. They also use bread and circuses to keep as much of the populace docile as they can. Most importantly, the Chosen of Serenity maintain the strength of the dynastic lines through matchmaking and instructing certain potent dragon-blooded in the arts of seduction. The Gold Faction Joybringers arrange alliances for the cult of the Illuminated and control certain fertility cults to better aid the Solar Exalted. Every Chosen of Serenity is born among those who bring satisfaction. Some Joybringers spend their early lives in the workshops of toy makers, the red-curtained walls of brothels, the patch tents of mummers and acrobats, the labs of drug peddlers, and the slave quarters all across creation before their exaltations. And when that destined day comes, they are marked by the changing of their irises to blue, with starry blue flecks throughout their black pupils. When a Chosen of Serenity invokes the lesser sign of Venus, they can channel their essence into any form of artistic expression, taking their performances from skillful to legendary. The Chosen of Battles. Life is a battle. All who live must struggle to survive and are defined by the manner in which they choose to fight their battles. Mars, the Maiden of Battles, was created to oversee all conflict throughout creation. Her chosen fight against those who would destroy it. The shield bearers of the First Age were strategists, advisors, and bodyguards to the Solar Exalted. Additionally, they protected the supply lines of Heaven's armies against the attacks of the Primordials, and later, the Fair Folk. When the Sidereals chose to supplant the Solars, the Chosen of Battle turned their strategic and logistical genius against the Solars and towards the Dragon-blooded. The Solars, despite being masters of an empire that spanned creation, found little support or supplies. Following the Great Contagion, the Shield-bearers stood sentinel at creation's new borders to drive back the remnant of the Fairfolk armies and reshape the Shogunate's armies under the command of the Scarlet Empress into the Imperial Legions. With the Scarlet Empress's disappearance, the Bronze Faction Chosen of Battles have turned their efforts towards preventing the dynastic houses from using the legions to tear the realm to bloody pieces. Their counterparts in the Gold Faction act as secret military advisors and trainers to nations outside of the realm's control, shaping them for use by the returning Solars, whom they often serve as tutors in battle tactics and supernatural martial arts. Several shield-bearers are the secret captains of private militaries across creation and direct their forces to contain those of the underworld and Malpheus. Every Chosen of Battles is born among those destined for conflict. Many such Sidereals have been born into families with histories of military service, or left on the doorsteps of skillful warrior monks. They are the sons and daughters of weaponsmiths, or spend their childhood studying military history and tactics. The exaltation of Mars marks her chosen with pure scarlet irises, and dots their black pupils with tiny scarlet flecks. When a shield-bearer makes the lesser sign of Mars, they, and their allies, reduce the damage of blows directed against them, so long as they remain within the Sidereal's anima banner. The Chosen of Secrets. Life is a mystery. Many mortals can spend the entirety of their lives seeking to unravel a single secret. Some are destined to know things and others to die never knowing the truth they so desperately chased after. So the Primordials created Jupiter, the Maiden of Secrets, to hide knowledge from some and reveal it to others. Her chosen are the keepers of creation's most dangerous secrets and its deepest mysteries, until fate decrees that it is time for someone to learn of them. The First Age oracles divided their time between gathering, sorting, and indexing the personal libraries of the Solar Exalted, as well as investigating those who violated the laws of heaven and earth. There seemed to be no secret within the bounds of fate that Jupiter's chosen could not uncover, nor was there any secret that could be stolen from them. So it was their task to obfuscate the planning and preparation of the usurpation, and in its aftermath, to root out the hidden solars and lunars so that the prophecy of Bronze could be fulfilled. Following the devastation of the Great Contagion, the Chosen of Secrets feverishly labored to collect as much First Age knowledge as they could before it was lost. Then they parceled out these precious secrets to those who could put them to best use, in service of the prophecy of Bronze, whether they were dragon-blooded, elementals, lunars, little gods, or even creatures outside of fate. The usurpation itself was directed by senior members of the Chosen of Secrets, and they have guided the Bronze Faction ever since. They have made the success of the realm their foremost goal. Unsurprisingly, they are the true masters of the realm's secret police, the all-seeing eye, and advisors to the leaders of the great houses. Meanwhile, few chosen of secrets find the gold faction to their liking, save a few who opposed the prophecy of bronze in the first age and paid for their loyalty with their lives. But it is they who are the most committed to locating and mentoring the reincarnated Solar Exalted, and trying to persuade other Sidereals to join the gold faction. But a handful of chosen of secrets walk their own path, paths that, even when their fellows know of them, tend to be grand in scale and labyrinthine in structure, and occasionally deal with the enemies of creation to further their own plans. Those destined to join the chosen of secrets are born in places where secrets and knowledge are an everyday part of life. They are often raised in families of scholars, historians, criminals, spies, heretics, and witches. When they exalt, they are the least likely of the Sidereals to dwell in creation, preferring to seclude themselves in the manses and libraries of Yushan. Every chosen of secrets possesses eyes with green irises and black pupils, dotted with tiny green stars. Using the lesser sign of Jupiter gives them and any allies within their anima protection from mind control and mind reading. The chosen of endings. Life is endings. The whole of one's life is things coming to an end. Pregnancies ending in birth, childhood ending in adulthood, war ending in peace, sobriety ending in addiction, innocence ending in wisdom, and finally, life ending in death. All things must pass, so that what must be can come. So Saturn, the Maiden of Endings, was created to govern the darkest part of the loom of fate, to cut the threads grown too long and bring about finality. Her chosen walk heaven and creation to ensure that everyone, from the gods to the mortals, meet their appointed end at their appointed time. The reckoners of the first age oversaw all matters having to do with endings, from funerals to harvests to curing plagues to ending negotiations successfully. And when it was time to end the reign of the Solar Exalted, it was the chosen of endings who targeted the most dangerous of the lawgivers for assassination. Following the Great Contagion, the chosen of endings scoured the remnants of the pandemic from creation. This occasionally required them to destroy towns and even cities still in the grips of the plague. They also turned their blades against the lords and ladies of the fair folk who tarried too long in creation after the Scarlet Empress had seized control of the imperial manse. But in the Second Age, many chosen of endings no longer believe in the prophecy of bronze, or that its time has passed. A few even suspect that perhaps the usurpation was a mistake. But the gardeners of heaven who adhere to the bronze faction perform rites for the Immaculate Order to ensure that the dead pass into reincarnation. They also secretly work to guarantee a seamless transition from the reign of one dynast to another. The gold faction chosen of endings want to bring about the end of the bronze faction and the rule of the dragon-blooded, peacefully or otherwise. The Sidereals do not spill each other's blood, so the gold faction reckoners debate and negotiate with their counterparts in the bronze. Other foes, whether mortal, exalt, or god, receive somewhat rougher treatment. Scandals, uprisings, and assassinations are just the most obvious tools of the chosen of endings trade. Those destined to serve Saturn are born to those people who have an understanding of the cycle of life and death. The chosen of endings have come from the ranks of gardeners, farmers, healers, priests, and undertakers. Others come from the barbarian wilds or the gutters of creation's metropolises, where death is quick and life is cheap. Of all the Sidereals, the chosen of endings best understand the transitory nature of life, and are best suited to deal with the loss of friends and allies to age and death. Every chosen of endings shares the violet eyes of their lady, and their pupils are flecked with bright violet stars. When they make the lesser sign of Saturn, their attacks, along with those of their nearby allies, become deadlier, and more easily find the weak points in their enemies' defenses. And those were the casts of the Sidereal Exalted. In case you haven't noticed by now, there are several areas of overlap between castes of the Celestial Exalted. While Solars, Lunars, and Sidereals may share affinities and purviews, each have their own methods for dealing with problems. The Sidereals probably lean the hardest into Exalted as a wuxia, or rather, Xianjia setting, since the Sidereals must not only navigate the politics and bureaucracies of the gods, they can also use kung fu styles to bend reality and fate to their whims. Seriously, Sidereal martial arts are probably more broken than solar sorcery and significantly overpowered. They also warrant a video of their own just to outline some of the ridiculous things that they can pull off. The good thing about Sidereals being employees of heaven upon exaltation is that there is always someone that they answer to. Even the usurpation had to be so carefully concealed as to avoid censure from the gods and exalts, that those who remember the usurpation and know that the Sidereals were involved can't pinpoint what any given Sidereal actually did. Except, of course, for Lytek, the god of exaltations, who remembers quite vividly being held prisoner in his own office by the Sidereals and the Solar Exaltations being stolen from his cabinet, an indignity he's been nursing a grudge over for centuries. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Until next time.